I'm going to be really truthful with you and tell you that I've never dated or had sexual relations with a woman who was older than I was. On the other hand, the fact that I've shared housing in the past with older ladies provides me an advantage. Their intrinsic pessimism may be traced back to a lifetime of willful self-destruction, which may also be the reason why the majority of them are unpleasant to be around. One of the numerous unfavorable characteristics linked to these individuals is the fact that they are often griping and moaning about everything and everything. They are not trustworthy in any circumstance. I still can't believe that I've been forced to put up with older women as my roommates all these time. If you don't believe me, just look at the married older men around you and try to convince me that they don't seem like empty shells of their former selves. If you don't believe me, all you have to do is look at older married women who are glowing with contentment. It would appear that some of these men are counting down the hours until they can finally put an end to their terrible lives and go away from their wives for good. I can't help but wonder, when I see men in their 20s and 30s attracted to women twice their age, if these guys are going through a rough patch or if they're just completely naive to the trap they're falling into. When I see men in their 20s and 30s attracted to women twice their age, I can't help but wonder, when I see men in their 20s and either they have a peculiar sexual attraction to older women or they are so financially strapped that they are unable to date anyone their own age. There are two possible explanations for this phenomenon. Nevertheless, I am experiencing those sentiments right now. The following are some of the reasons why men in today's culture are supposed to avoid leftover females like the plague. To begin, it is the responsibility of men, traditionally speaking, to safeguard the well-being and security of their female counterparts. It shouldn't come as a surprise to you that the people who are closest to you prioritize the well-being and protection of women in romantic partnerships. And not just at the expense of their male colleagues. The current student debt rescue scheme is a superb example of the government's acknowledgement of the need to aid female students. It is intended to reduce the amount of money that students owe to the government. That serves as a powerful illustration of the fact that women, regardless of how strong and self-reliant they may appear on the outside, still require assistance in order to accomplish their objectives. But the fact that these women are dependent on other people is in no way grounds for society to instantly criticize or stigmatize them in any way. Because of this, the concept that 45 is the new 25 and that older women can still look beautiful is so pervasive. Without it, these women may have a lower likelihood of working and a higher likelihood of relying on government support programs. Because doing so would have a negative impact on Social Security and other programs established to support individuals in need in the United States, the federal government is hesitant to help these people because doing so would have a negative impact on those programs. Because there are more women than men, it is likely that when one of them finds herself in a difficult financial situation and is by herself, the other women in her social circle will lobby males on her behalf. This is because there are more women than men. To begin, there are naturally more women than there are men in the world. The question at hand is what action they will take next. They make fun of him for having an interest in younger females, and they attempt to prevent and control him by labeling him with a variety of isms in order to categorize his behavior. This is due to the fact that he is focused on relationships with young adult women. However, it's important to stress that society as a whole approves of and encourages older women to continue dating younger men. It is essential to emphasize this particular aspect. Even though everyone is aware that this sort of behavior is not appropriate for a lady, things are like this regardless of whether or not the lady in issue is tremendously wealthy. Because of the stereotype that women are terrible with money, you need to make preparations in advance to ensure that she will be provided for monetarily when the time comes. Because women always have the option of making themselves look younger than they actually are, men will always feel motivated to pursue romantic ties with women. This is because women can always make themselves look younger than they actually are. You older women should keep in mind that older men are the ones in society who have the money and resources, so you should keep this in mind if all of the single older men with money decide to go out and date younger women. If this is the case, you should remember that older men are the ones in society who have the money and resources. But if young men only dated other young people, how could they possibly afford to assist individuals who had recently gone through a divorce from their spouse? whether they are women who have been out of the workforce for some time and are now returning to it, or the many self-proclaimed strong and independent women who have never made relationships a priority and are now finding romantic success elusive. Issues of financial stability and partner availability are at the heart of the plight of today's single women. This is true whether they are women who have been out of the workforce for some time and are now returning to it. The quandary that modern single women find themselves in can be boiled down to two primary concerns: the availability of a romantic partner and the ability to maintain a stable financial situation. If more men in the United States dated younger women, the dating pool would be much smaller than it already is, making it even more challenging to find appropriate men to date in our country. This is due to the fact that there are currently insufficient numbers of men in the United States to provide for all of the country's women in an adequate manner. They have found that shaming men into staying away from a market that is crowded with younger women is an effective strategy to fulfill their goal of increasing the number of available males in the population. This is because they have discovered that the market is saturated with younger women. It is anticipated that a greater proportion of men will, on the whole, decide not to be in committed relationships. After that, individuals will then make assertions along the lines of, if you want a lady who is just 22 years old because she resembles your daughter or because she is young enough to be your daughter, then you are a pervert. You are both a metaphase and a grapist, to put it another way. It's not completely out of the question to hold both of these beliefs at the same time. Why would you want to put yourself in the position of experiencing the pinnacle of social isolation, which is having a partner who is a significant amount of years younger than you are? She just has one goal in mind, and that is to take advantage of you financially, as if this were something that only some women or only some older women are capable of accomplishing. Their objective in expressing these things to you is to dissuade you from meeting young women so that they may use you as a cleanup man for their leftover 304s. In case you were wondering, here it is. There is a lot of pressure on men to date what are referred to as leftover females, as if they will finally get the pointlessness of their endeavors if they don't. If they realized what they were getting themselves into, men would never settle for partners that fell short of their ideal standards. Despite the illusion of worth that is offered by society, men who are comfortable with women who are less than ideal will invariably end up with the least attractive of these women. This will occur despite the fact that society provides value. If the outdated notion that older women have no place in today's society is permitted to persist, older men will chase younger women because they believe that younger women are less desirable. How can you consider that a success if you caught her when she was on the verge of declining while other guys caught her when she was at the pinnacle of her powers? If she changed into her best clothing, every man in the room would be vying for the opportunity to take her home with him. Do you feel like you've accomplished anything by purchasing the version of this woman who needs Botox and makeup to appear respectable after she's upped the price of how much she needs each month to retain herself? If so, what do you feel like you've accomplished? The aspect of her that you are seeing is the one in which she is concerned with how well they express themselves. It is important for her to have a presentable appearance while you are out shopping for her. When she was younger, though, other guys acquired her for a lower price, despite the fact that her value was higher. Do you understand what I'm getting at? Some of them have children from prior relationships, and depending on the age of the children and whether or not the children's mother still dwells with you, you may be obliged to contribute to their maintenance. This will depend on whether or not the children's mother currently resides with you.